So, good morning. Uh,
Good morning.
yeah, good morning to all. Now we'll start our second session of this workshop. So, I would like to introduce Miss R. Divya from Bangalore, and she has completed her MSc Ecology and Environmental Science from Pondicherry University. She has also published some articles on solid waste management practices. So I would like to say an inspirational note to all the students as well as the participants. Actually, waste is not specifically required for this solid waste management practices, I think so. So either you are younger or elder, whatever may be, so how much we are going to contribute to our society and our environment is very important. So I think she may be a role model for us in that way. So I am very much privileged to introduce our speaker, Ms. R. Divya, who is a solid waste management trainer as well as the future entrepreneur also. I thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you, Divya, for readily accepting our invitation to present our audience. Thank you so much on behalf of our thank you, especially. And our dean in the morning session, he was saying about like we have different speakers from different various backgrounds. So one such speaker is our Miss Divya. So she is an inspirational role model for us definitely. So now this I thank Divya for this to be here to deliver her lecture. So now we start our presentation. Divya, shall
Good morning, one and all.
yeah.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Uh,
I'm really honored for this opportunity, and I hope that whatever I'm able to deliver is able to inspire y'all in realizing waste, what is waste, and how much it is affecting us. First slide.
ma'am, 1 second.
Yes. So the topic, hello. The topic is called Discussion on the Impacts of Unsustainable Waste Management and Practices. So, the first slide, I want to go back to the first slide. Hello.
Ma'am, 1 second.
Hello. Okay, I'll start with the first slide.
That PPT is actually it is not fitting to the window.
Okay.
1 second.
Oh,
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
yes, ma'am. I'll work with this, ma'am.
Is this okay, ma'am?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Second slide.
yeah.
So when we look into the natural world, the natural ecosystem, and we see that the natural phenomenon of biodegradation in nature that's happening for millions of years has its own decomposers, scavengers, and dissemblers, all part of the natural ecosystem, which break down all the dead organisms, be it plant, animal, the leaf litter, or the nitrogenous excreta from animals, are broken down into nutrients, valuable nutrients that are released back into the environment for recycling. So, the two things that we see here are recycling. All the nutrients, valuable nutrients, are released back into the food chain, the cycle, and there's no contamination or piling up of waste. Next slide. Here's a pictorial representation. Next slide. So, what is waste mismanagement that we are seeing in our generation is that there is increasing enormous trends of waste generation, which is an byproduct of economic development, rapid industrialization, and urbanization. These are the three terms used. Hence, in our country, taking our country to quantify waste, we see that out of 63 million tons of municipal solid waste generated per year, only 443 million tons are collected, out of which only 11.9 million tons are treated. And the rest is landfill. So 95% of the waste is landfill. This Indian scenario is due to the fact that during, according to the 74th Constitution Amendment, the municipality bestowed the responsibility of waste management on the urban local bodies, and the resultant is that the urban local bodies lack the financial and infrastructural amenities to conduct waste management processes. So 80% of the financial fund or whatever amenities are available to them goes into collection and transportation of waste from the waste generation points, and the rest is the rest of the funds are utilized for landfilling. Next slide. This slide represents landfilling and open burning. It's seen that 95% of the municipal waste generated is landfilled. And as if you see land also as a resource, it is seen that land is a dwindling resource. As urbanization is up its scale, and if we had to divide the land required by each individual, that is 133 million square kilometers divided by the entire population, it's seen that landfilling is no longer an adequate or viable solution, as landscapes and are required also for housing, and development of urban units. So, in the common landfills, it's seen that all kinds of waste are um, deposited, such as from different industries like agriculture, healthcare, also municipal waste, adding to that, and electronic and used batteries and other hazardous waste, which are mixed and exposed to the natural elements. It's seen that the microbes that feed on the landfilling material, that is, it's seen that the composition of the waste, the Indian scenario, the municipal waste, the composition of it is found to be 50% of organic, 32% of non-organic waste, and 17% of which is recyclable. Since 51% of the waste in the landfills are organic, the microorganisms in the landfill consume the organic material, producing methane as methane, which is one of the leading greenhouse gases emitted into the atmosphere. It is found that landfills are found to emit 91% of methane, and rest are the other gases including carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and landfilling, the waste from landfilling, the methane generated and the greenhouse gases released into the air are found to be the third largest contributor to greenhouse gases and global warming. Next slide. Can I have the next slide, ma'am? Now we look into the individual streams of the municipal waste. So one of them is plastic waste, which we are all aware of. And recent studies have found that 6.3 billion metric tons of waste, plastic waste, produced globally, out of which only 9% is recycled. And what happens to the rest of the plastic waste? It's seen that 12% of it is incinerated or open burn, and the rest of the 79% is landfill. But it's seen that most of the plastic landfill are also recyclable. Backlight, which is plastic, it's through the synthetic plastic. It's found to be made of components and materials that are not found in the natural world. Hence, it is not being broken down by the microorganisms that are found in the landfill. Next slide. The previous slide. So we are all very familiar with plastic waste pollution, and the plastic waste pollution occurs due to its inert nature. When we landfill it, it does not decompose. So the way to reduce the amount of plastic in the landfills is found to be burning or incinerating. So One of the basic solutions are found to be open burning of plastics. Now we have to understand that the synthetic material, that is plastic, when partially burnt, releases dioxins, furans, polychlorinated biphenyls, and these are all aromatic compounds. And these aromatic compounds are better known as carcinogens, which cause adverse health effects to everyone living around the vicinity of the landfill, and also when emitted into the atmosphere, it threatens the plant and animal life in that ecosystem. Next slide. So what are the mitigation strategies that we can implement to reduce plastic waste? As conscious citizens, we can regulate our plastic consumption by ensuring that we reuse shopping bags made of hemp, nylon, or cloth, so that single-use plastic does not gain its significance in rapid consumption. And eco-designing, ensuring that the products we use are eco-friendly, and increasing the demand for recyclable plastics. We have to ensure that the plastic that is consumed is invariably...
Divya ma'am, sorry for interruption. Ma'am, your voice is breaking, ma'am.
Okay. Is it fine now?
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Yes. So, I'll go to my fourth point. Reduction of plastic use that cannot be recycled. We have to refuse the use of plastics that cannot be recycled. And this can be done by extended producer responsibility, which is approaching the manufacturers and the companies that release these products into the market and ensuring that they set up a financial scheme where they'll accept back the plastic material, non-recyclable, into their remanufacturing scheme to ensure that plastic waste is reduced. Next slide. Now we have to understand that once we get rid of plastics out of our house, we have to think if it affects wildlife around us or not. It's found that plastic does not decompose naturally and would take thousands of years. And now in the natural ecosystem, the main threat now is microplastics, which has been due to the phenomenon of the plastic debris breaking down into microparticles and being consumed or accidentally consumed by animals. It's seen that these particles, when released into water bodies or marine bodies, become oil droplets, become like oil droplets or resemble oil droplets because they are petroleum products. And the marine fishes and seabirds have been accidentally ingesting these plastics or getting entangled in larger debris such as fishing nets and single-use plastic bags. In a case study, it's shown that albatrosses consumed plastic debris floating on marine bodies to confusing them with fish and then feeding them to their chicks, resulting in suffocation, death, and starvation. Biomagnification is also a phenomenon where, as I mentioned, microplastics are the greatest threat in the environment today, where small microorganisms such as nematodes are able to consume them into their system. Then after consumed, they don't get ingested or broken down into smaller particles, so they get accumulated and move up the food. They move up the food web. Next slide. These are some visual examples of wildlife being threatened by plastic pollution, where it causes them to incapacitate, stop them from moving, acquiring food, and ultimately leads to starvation and death. Next slide. This is a picture of the albatross with its body section to reveal all the plastic waste that it had accidentally consumed. Next slide. This is a tortoise which has been deformed by plastic waste, by accidentally coming in contact with plastic waste. Next slide. Hence, from these visual examples, we can understand that the waste generated by humans and by various industries have to be contained so that wildlife will not be affected. Next slide. So biomedical waste. The term biomedical waste have been employed in hospitals where the hazardous biomedical waste are incinerated or decontaminated by processes such as large-scale incineration. But biomedical wastes are found to be generated from households as well. So what are the categories that come under hazardous biomedical waste? They include infected adult or child diapers, used syringes, insulin needles, expired drugs, which we directly dispose into the municipal bins. And while trying to segregate biomedical waste, it's difficult to understand whether we could categorize them into wet or dry. Roadside clinics and paramedics are also found to dispose their waste that are expired medicines into the municipal waste bins. And this can be prevented by paramedics and other local clinics reaching out to local governments and asking for a incineration facility where these waste can be disposed without contamination. Since the informal sectors such as the rag pickers who look for recyclable materials in the landfill are the ones who directly come in contact with these wastes and are the ones who directly infected, hence leading to spread of disease. Next slide. So what are the strategies that we can employ for biomedical waste generated at home? It is advised that we segregate biomedical waste into separate sealed containers so that they do not come in contact with children or pets. And also isolate sharp needles and contaminated bandages. And find a local center, approach the local government, addressing the issue of treating biomedical waste generated from homes. Next slide. E-waste. We are well accustomed to gadgets with new upgrades and new technologies. Old gadgets and outdated machines such as computers, printers, mobiles, DVD players, old fridge, batteries, or after its use are found to be directly disposed into the landfill. And statistics show that 20 to 15 million tons of e-waste are generated worldwide. The consequences of electronic waste are that they contain toxic materials such as lead, nickel, zinc, flame retardants, barium and chromium, which might cause eruptions of flame into the landfill, contamination of ground, water resources, contamination of the soil, and leading to atmospheric pollution around the landfill. Next slide. Next slide. So what are the ways that we can reduce environmental hazards of e-waste? First one is mindful consumption, where we can sell or donate old electronics that still work, or repair old electronics and sell them to people who need it, or on the when electronic waste are purchased, on the box it contains a list of instructions if the electronic device that is going to be used is recyclable or is hazardous to the environment. And also some of the e-waste cartons that it comes with provide instructions to deposit electronic items back into the showroom which they were sold at, or manufacturing units where they can be removed and remanufactured. It's seen that when informal sectors such as the rag pickers come in contact with old electronics in search of pure metals or extraction of pure metals such as gold or silver, and for example in phones, they are exposed to all the toxic metals. Hence, it is advisable to separate the e-waste from landfilling. Next slide. Food waste. So food waste are of different types, where one of them is actually food waste can be categorized into post-consumer food waste, consumer food waste, and post-consumer food waste. So the pre-consumer food waste include raw ingredients and materials that are not used during cooking. That include eggshells, vegetable peels, meat, bones, or leftover ingredients that have passed their expiry date in the shelves, left forgotten sometimes. And the consumer food waste include food waste that is left on the plate and disposed of after consumed. The post-consumer food waste include food waste that is not eaten and prepared. Post-consumer food waste include food that has been cooked but not eaten. So the various solutions that can be applied to this waste stream is that they could be composted by either anaerobic composting or the regular composting, and also be used as a fuel for biogas production. Since food waste has become one of the challenging aspects faced globally, it also has become unavoidable, and it's found that 1/3 of the food is wasted before it is being consumed. Hence, if food waste is disposed of into the landfill, it will contribute to methane, production of greenhouse gases such as methane and carbon dioxide due to the activity of the microorganisms found in the landfill. And food waste can also be a potential site that can lead to parasitic and vermin infestation. Hence, when the informal sector come in contact with the food waste, they become carriers of communicable diseases. Next slide. This slide depicts the biogas instrument and composting. Well, the regular composting is a viable solution, as if there is space around the household or the institution, composting only requires to be source segregated efficiently, and provided a site where a shallow compost pit can be dug and covered by soil and later produces manure, hence resulting in resource recovery, and also the nutrient-rich compost can be used as fertilizers. Next slide. Textile waste. Though the term textile waste is uncommon, the term fast fashion, though common in the developed countries, is due to the resultant fast-paced consumption and disposal of textile goods. It was noted that in 2017, 11.2 million tons of textile waste ended up in landfills. Though textile produce toxic effluences and sludges while preparation, it's seen that when disposed, textile waste also made from the textile waste release few toxic chemicals that leach into the landfills due to the prints, the dyes released from the textile waste. So what are the mitigation strategies to reduce textile waste? It can be noted that mindful consumption of material goods, including textile, can be implemented in a lifestyle where a higher quality, more resistant textile can be consumed, which would last for longer duration and would not contribute to landfilling of textile waste. Next slide. This is the visual depiction of textile waste. Though in Indian culture we try to reuse them in several ways, the ultimate disposal strategy now employed are landfilling. Next slide. So hazardous waste. Hazardous waste, when we talk about municipal waste, and municipal waste including household waste. So what are the categories of hazardous waste that we come in contact with in our daily life include the spray bottles, floor cleaning products, and fluorescent tubes after its use. It's seen that these hazardous wastes do not have a strategy to being recycled, and it's hazardous waste can be reported or when approached by environmental protection authorities, local authorities can be contacted and asked for mitigation strategies for these hazardous products where they can be reused and reintroduced into the waste production stream, ensuring that the product is reused and reducing its environmental impact. Next slide. And these are the topics that I wanted to talk about. The separate waste streams that we come in contact with in municipal waste. So I hope that we could be conscious citizens and ensure mindful consumption of goods and understand and learn about what happens when these products are disposed in landfills. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Divya. for your wonderful presentation. You will be detailing especially about the different kinds of waste and the impacts which is creating to our environment. And also with some basic information how much the quantity of waste generated from each of these. And really it's amazing about the textile waste, because we are not generally so far I didn't have many information about this, and it's a very good talk. Thank you so much. And we have some questions for you. Some of the
Yes,
participants are asking about, can you say the soil waste chemicals or pesticides that affect the soil organism like earthworm?
earthworms. Yes, they do affect them. What happens is the contaminated soil themselves do not carry many organisms, which is an indication of infertile or contaminated regions. If the organisms have consumed toxic contaminants like leachants from the landfill, their survival rate is very low, and hence it gives us an indication of unhealthy ecosystem. Yes.
Thank you, Divya. So I would like to add some point to this. So if you are growing any like a plant in that particular contaminated soil, these microorganisms, some of the microorganisms can mobilize and can enter into the plant also. So there
Yes,
are
there is the phenomenon of bioremediation, where certain plants which are hardy and resistant to chemicals are able to assimilate these toxic chemicals into their tissues without too much damage, have been used for bioremediation, where the term means uh, the contaminated soil is remediated biologically, that is by using a plant. Hence, contaminants will be absorbed into the tissue of the plant, and the soil contaminants will be reduced.
thank you, Ms. Divya. And the next question is there any causes of soil organism by using the microbeads in cosmetics?
Can you repeat the question? Huh?
Is there any causes of soil organism by using the microbeads in cosmetics?
Um, as far as cosmetics are concerned, um, I'm not. I'm not literate in this field, so I apologize for not knowing.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Divya. And another thing is, are there efficient ways to reduce microplastic?
Efficient ways to reduce microplastic is, first of all, not introducing plastic into the waste stream in the first place. We should try our best to not use plastics or use any other materials instead of plastic, such as glass containers, metal containers, and plastics which are synthesized from plant materials such as corn. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Divya. So the alternative materials can be really a good choice. And there are
Yes.
some researchers going on to collect the microplastics in oceans and all. They'll be using some like electromagnetic things to get the plastics out of the oceans and all. There are some researchers going on. You can search in the net websites also. This is for the students. I'll be saying this. And the next question is, with the increased processed food consumption, liquid consumables are packed in Tetra packs, which are again plastic waste, not easily biodegraded. How they can be reduced, or there are any other options for it?
Tetra packs have been banned in certain areas, in certain countries, and it is found that they are not biodegradable because they have 6 layers of plastic and paper merged in their uh, manufacturing. So there is a case study in Delhi where Tetra packs have been assigned another landfill area, and authorities have taken up initiative to use Tetra packs or the materials. I mean, Tetra pack material can be partially degraded and be used in construction materials. Next question.
Thank you, Ms. Divya. And I would like to add a point here. Like Tetra packs means your Alvin Pal packets, like milk packets. So I think in Tyagarajar Engineering College from Madurai, so they'll be they'll be collecting all these packets and they'll be gone for road. Instead of tar, they'll be using these plastics, melting these plastics, and they'll made a road. And it is very good also in efficiency. And there is a patent also in that. If you want, you can really check for that aspect. So many areas now they'll be implementing these things in recent times.
Yes.
So packets. But one main request what they are making is we have to completely clean up the packet so that they can be used for other process. That's what they will be mentioning. So I think
Okay.
municipality in some of the persons they will be collecting the milk packets for some cost. So they'll be doing some process, but one thing is if there is any liquid inside that packets, it is generating some methane, and when it is going
Yes.
for heating, it is creating some environmental problems. So we have to,
Yes. That is what the incineration plants in India are facing because of the mixed waste in the landfills. The calorific value of the waste decreases significantly, and it cannot be used for incineration purposes or to acquire heat energy through it.
yes, ma'am, rightly said. Thank you, ma'am. And the next question is about kindly explain about types of plastic grades or micron level which needs to be maintained to make it recyclable or biodegradable if possible.
So there are different kinds of plastics that include high density and low density plastics. These are recyclable, and the plastics that are not that cannot be recycled are the single-use plastics that are available in grocery stores and in other market areas. And if the consumption, I mean, certain grocery stores do implement plastic bags with label on them indicating the micron size, the manufacturing unit, and licensed that it could be recycled and and could be consumed. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. And the next question is, as you told, incineration is harmful. Is there any alternative method?
Alternative method is first, the primary method is recycling as many plastic materials as possible, reducing or refusing plastic materials that cannot be recycled at all. And there are other technologies such as the refuse derived fuel, where the plastic will be converted to its petroleum products and a heat generated used as a resource. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Actually, they will be representing for biomedical waste. So, how incineration? Is there any alternative methods for biomedical waste?
So for biomedical waste, the medical institutes will be provided license to use incineration incinerating devices uh, in their compound. So there are few plastic materials, if depending on the degree of contamination, could be recycled. But the main issue with biomedical waste is to prevent spread of diseases and further contamination. It's the priority is taken to incinerate, or if other disposal strategies or other material that can be disposed or are safe to dispose are either sterilized or chlorinated to prevent further infections on the site of disposal. Next question.
Thank you, Ms. Divya. And I think they have discussed in the chat boxes, so it is really nice to see that. So some was asking about the effects of incineration in closed spaces. So does incineration in closed space even come as an option?
Incineration in closed or controlled spaces is definitely an option because it releases a lot of dioxins while burning. So controlled or closed incineration is definitely possible with advanced technological upgrades.
Thank you, Ms. Divya. Actually, I would like to add a point here. Instead of incineration, I think so there is a plasma or technology.
Yes, ma'am. Plasma conversion, where it'll be converted back into
And I think
petrol.
very good technology, but the energy consumption is very high, it seems. So they
Yeah,
whichever
the input of materials is lesser, and the energy used for the plasma conversion is higher. So that is why these technologies are not yet implemented in our country.
yeah. So I think the landfill, so which is already overfilled. So even those samples can also be, I mean, cured using this plasma technology. Like that, they'll be safe. So I don't know the exact scenario about that. So really, if you're interested, you can please go through the materials related to it. Thank you.
Yes.
So one
Next question.
um, so they'll be asking the poisonous emission due to incineration.
Yes, that is actually one of the ill effects, because incineration will incineration is used in countries like US, China, and Japan, and also Canada. And like 20 to 34% of their waste is incinerated to reduce the amount of waste that will be landfilled and to increase the life of the landfill. But the immediate drawbacks are releasing these effluents into the atmosphere. And I think further technological improvements can be implemented where we can convert these toxic emissions into less toxic forms so that they will not cause adverse effects into the ecosystem.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Divya. And there are some few appreciations like a nice presentation and the, so one of the comment was, you should have a little bit faster like that. So thank you so much. So thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. So would you like to add
My
anything
pleasure.
to the students, especially?
I would like to add the point that as consumers, we should uh, be more mindful and try to avoid, reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover waste. And landfilling should be the final option if we are to dispose our waste.
Yeah, thank you. So, what's your inspiration in this area? Can you please share with us?
I live in a very crowded metropolitan city, and in the metropolitan city, I live in an even more crowded town. And even though we have door-to-door collection of waste, a lot of our municipal, the local governments are struggling to find adequate ways of treating or disposing the waste here. And we have a lot of open burning that adds to the air pollution in the city with already a lot of air pollution due to vehicular emissions. So I think with source segregation and reduction in consumption, mindful consumption, we could reduce the amount of waste that goes to the landfill in the first place and approach the governments, local governments or communities, and form a network that will help us find solutions for materials that are essential, like food packaging, and approaching local markets, asking them to use alternative packaging techniques that would reduce the plastic uh, consumption or plastic waste generation. So there's a departmental store here called DMart, and it uses plastic bags made from corn flour, which is biodegradable and also does not cause any harmful emissions, or it biodegrades and releases nutrients into the soil when landfilled.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. Thank you for your wonderful talk. And so we have to look for some alternative techniques to uh, replace all the materials which is causing environmental pollution. So this is a message I have received from you. I think most of the participants is also agree with me. I think so. So and there are some few suggestions from the participants uh, like 3R method is most, as you said, 3R method is mostly suggested
Yes.
to eliminate the pollution. And this is for the students. So, really, there are so many opportunities and scope in this particular area, and you have to really think of it, and you have to take immediate action to overcome these problems. Either we look for alternative technologies, but there are, as I already said, so already dumped waste is also in halfway. So some of it
Yes, ma'am.
already is mixed, like biodegradable and non-biodegradable. So we have to think of some alternative techniques to completely remove that, because previously the town was very small and they will be dumping the waste in the outer extremes. But now, as the population is increasing, so we are living nearby the dump yards also.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
not only the incineration site, but also the dump yard will also cause some um, like infections and all these things. Even the fire also we are getting, like continuously it is burning. So we are getting pollutions from that site also. So as a participant, as a of this workshop, and as a person, being a person, so I would like to I request you all to please be cautious about the waste we are generating in the day to day waste. So even if you are traveling in your bus, so we are just throwing the tickets, so whenever we are getting down of the bus, so even it is a waste, so we have to be very cautious about these things. So that's a main purpose of this workshop. So, with this few words, I would like to thank Ms. Divya for giving a wonderful talk to us to share the impacts, especially the impacts with respect to the different pollutions, I mean, different waste. Thank you, Ms. Divya. So, on behalf of our
My
management,
pleasure.
thank you personally for giving us this useful lecture. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is for the participants. I have already circulated the link for the attendance. Kindly please ensure your attendance to get your certificates. So our next session will start by 2 o'clock. So we'll meet you in the afternoon. Have a nice day. Thank you.